This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
If your fashion wish list lives rent-free in your brain, you need to be on Poshmark. With Poshmark, you're shopping millions of listings from thousands of closets, each curated by someone with their own style. Vintage finds, designer pieces, and everyday staples all in one place. Search for your favorites or let the discovery come to you. Poshmark makes it easy to find what you actually want to wear at prices that feel like a quiet win. Download the Poshmark app today and use code PODCAST10 when you sign up to get $10 off your first purchase.
A Swift Kick in the Ass, episode 28.
All big changes start with a swift kick in the ass. Join the journey of lifelong friends, John Curran and Tom Stewart, as they make conventional thought, bend over and take a boot to the keister. Warning, listeners may notice a force equal to or greater than needed to get your ass moving. A swift kick in the ass, living life on your terms.
Welcome, I'm Tom Stewart, and I'm joined with my lifelong friend, John Curran. And today we have a very special guest. This guy, he's gone through a lot in his life, but something very interesting happened on Easter. Something that got 3 million Facebook likes and over 150,000 Facebook shares. And it's all over our guest. And we made something very special for our guest. And, oh, by the way, John, I wanted to say hi to you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ignore you.
That's okay. I'm used to it, Tom. That's fine.
So here's our special intro, okay?
A swift kick in the ass welcomes Nick Miller, the kid who made the rock cry.
Yes. On Easter Sunday, Nick Miller was retweeted. This is something that happened a couple of months ago, but Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, everyone knows The Rock, tweeted on Easter a message out, and it was a picture of Nick and The Rock. And Nick is a cancer survivor and of Hodgkin's lymphoma. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so The Rock, he made The Rock cry. But instead of me talking about it, I want to introduce Nick and his girlfriend Anna, who's here joined. She also met The Rock, and we want to hear all about it. But before we do anything, I want you to meet Nick. Meet Nick.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nick.
Hi, I'm Anna. That was loud.
So, Nick, you've gone through some really big struggles in your life. Some things that no one, including me, has ever faced. So it's going to make you wise above your years. I know you're about 18 right now?
19.
19. Okay, you're 19, and several years ago, something happened in your life that really upset the balance. What was it?
Well, I was a freshman in high school, and just trying to do normal stuff like all the other kids, and I ended up getting diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. It pretty much happened out of nowhere. I was doing tryouts for the baseball team and just started feeling real sluggish and weak, and I would go home at night and I would get chills, and I'd be going to sleep early. All my brother and my mom, my stepdad would be watching the basketball games and stuff, and I would just go in my room and I couldn't stay awake. And one morning I woke up and I had a big lump in my neck. I wasn't sure what it was. I didn't think anything of it, but to get it checked out would be the best option. So I went to a hospital close by the house, and they right away I could tell by the way they started panicking that it was something serious, but they wouldn't let me know. And then a couple hours later, a doctor came in and told me that it was a form of cancer. So I was just in shock, because when you hear cancer, the first thing you think is, oh, I'm gonna die.
Right.
So it was it gave me chills, and still to talk about it now, it does. I mean, I really don't talk about it too much. This is the first time I've probably went out in public and talked about it, besides alone with Anna and my parents and whatnot. But it was scary.
And before that, I know a couple of years before that, your father had passed away, right?
Yes, in 2007, he passed away. He was sick for about 2 years, and I always knew that he didn't have long. The doctors told us maybe anywhere from 5 to 10 years, and it ended up being 2. And just one morning, it was in the middle of the night, around 4 a.m. I woke up, and I woke up from there was reflections of paramedics, the lights from the ambulance outside, And I woke up and, I the first instinct was to run into his room to figure out what was going on. I knew it was him right away. And my brother just grabbed me and, he held me down on the couch and he was crying and I pretty much knew what it was already.
How old was he?
My dad was, I believe when he passed 51.
Wow, that's young.
Yeah, he was very young.
And how old were you, Nick?
Oh, when this all happened, I was 13 because I was 16 when I was diagnosed.
Wow.
Yes.
So he's got a double whammy. His father passes away. Me and John both experienced that, but we're older. When that happens to us, it's expected. Our parents, our dads lived, out their lives and, stuff like that. But when you lose it at that young of an age, it affects you, man. It's a struggle.
Yeah, it really was. And he was like my best friend. I mean, we did everything together, from fishing and just literally everything, playing football, just all the normal stuff, I guess.
Right. Did you sometimes feel like, like when you got diagnosed, like, why me? What the hell happened?
Yeah, I did. I always asked that, why me? And, and for a while it was like that. And then once I started going to the hospital, because when I went for treatments, it wasn't like a couple hours. I would stay for 3 days to a week for each treatment. And I started to see, other kids in there and like kids that were younger than me. I mean, there was kids that were 2 to 3 years old and they were going through it. So then it hit me that it just can happen to anybody.
Right. You always associate it. I mean, I know I did as, something, the cancer, that's something when you're old or something like that, but it's not. It really, it just hits anyone.
Exactly. It's literally anyone. It just could happen at any time. And that's the scariest thing about it.
I know at my work, we do a lot of work with St. Jude and you see these little kids come in and they have no hair and you're like, man, this, and I know you went through that.
Yeah,
right?
that was a hard part for me. I mean, it was like, if I had to just shave my head, it was nothing. I was fine with that. But it was just, waking up every morning and, when just going to brush your hair and, you look at the comb and there's a whole bunch of hair inside there and, just there's nothing you could do about it.
Right. And plus it wipes you out, right? If you have chemo like the next day, you're just totally out, right?
Yeah, I mean, it just gives you a nauseous feeling. You can't really hold any food down. It was tough, but I had a good supporting cast. The first time around was great. And then second time around, well, I guess we'll get into that, but...
Right, well, you had it twice, right?
Yeah, I had it, and I went through 6 months of just normal chemo treatment, which is still pretty bad, but it was normal. And the doctors told me I was in remission, and everything was good. Started to get my life back together. Started to get healthy again, and I met her, Anna, at that time, and me and her became good friends and everything. And then right around the time we started to date, I got the news. I went for a checkup because once you're in remission, you go for checkups, every 2 to 3 months for scans to make sure everything's on track. And they just pretty much came in and told me that it was coming back, and it was tough. And then having to tell her like right out, this is maybe a week into us starting to date and everything. I had to tell her, and it was tough. But
Anna, how'd that make you feel? I mean, when Nick presented that to you?
Well, for a while, Nick kept hinting to me that something was wrong, and he avoided telling me for a while. He said it was because of my birthday, but for some reason in the back of my mind, that always popped into my head, like cancer. It was really weird. So when he told me, it was like, wow, that was really weird. And it kind of took a while for me to like come to the realization that that's actually what was happening with him.
Right, and that's something, I mean, I have to commend you because you stayed by Nick's side.
Oh, of course.
There's wives probably that have not stuck through people's side like that. I don't want to say that, but that's happened, I'm sure. For being a young teen girl, you could have been like, you know what, it's too much, it's kind of heavy, I don't know if I can handle this. And I think people would have said, they would have understood that, but you stood by him. That is commendable.
Well, yeah, I love him.
And I love, Anna, I love it how you just answered Tom with, of course. What else would I do? Of course I'm going to stick with them. I mean, I love that. I think that is very commendable. It's not everybody has that attitude. And, I think it's wonderful.
Thanks. I'll always stick by Nick.
And yeah, she did. I mean, there was once I got diagnosed the second time, I had to do a stem cell transplant. It's pretty much, they give you, well, first they harvest your good stem cells. So they pretty much hook you up to a big machine, they drain all your blood, but at the same time it's going back into your body, obviously. And it collects certain stem cells. So they take the good ones and they put them like in a big aluminum can and they freeze them. And then a couple weeks later you go back and they give you the highest dose chemo they have. And it pretty much destroys your immune system down to nothing. So you stay in the hospital for a month. I was in there, I think it ended up being 32 days I was in there. And, everybody who had to come in had to wear a mask and gloves, because if I would have got a cold, that would have been it for me.
Right.
But, she was there every day. As soon as school was over, my mom would pick her up or her mom would take her, and she would be by my bedside, and she would do her homework there, sometimes fall asleep there, but she was there every day, didn't miss a day. So I'm very thankful for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So explain to us about stem cells. I know a little bit about them, but I'm not as much, I'm sure, as you do.
Believe it or not, it was like so complicated for me to get, but it was like, it's stem cells, and at the same time it's bone marrow. And the way they explained it to me was, well, I was lucky enough to where the cancer didn't spread into my bone marrow. Once you're diagnosed with it, they give you a bone marrow biopsy where they go into your bone, they put a needle through your back, it breaks the bone, and they pull out a little bit of marrow to find out if it's in there. Yeah. For those who are unlucky and do have it in their bone marrow, it's a lot more complicated to go through the process. But the stem cells, the way they explain it to me, they're like the building block for everything. They build your immune system up. They do everything. They explain to me that without them, that's it.
Yeah, I think I know that there's so many wonderful things that they can do with them, and there's a lot of hope for them. I think they even grow ears and stuff like tissue for burn victims and stuff like that.
Exactly. There's options now too, like when the people are first born, to save some of their stem cells and stuff, for just in case anybody ever has to go through something like this.
Wow, that's cool.
So yeah, and there's millions of stem cells. They say it just goes through your body. They're always rebuilding.
So Nick, do you have to have a clean bill of health for a certain number of years before you're out of the woods, or are you out of the woods already? Or
well, usually, when you go into remission, you have to be in remission for 5 years before you're considered cured. So I'm just hit the 2-year mark, and so I'm doing good, thank God. And but that's about, you have to hit the 5-year mark to be considered cured. And if it doesn't come back within the first 2 years, that's a very good sign, because usually with Hodgkin's lymphoma and then going through a stem cell transplant, it comes back within the first year.
Okay.
And you have the main one, right? Because I heard there was 3 different types.
Yeah, I had the main one.
Well, that's good.
High-dose chemo.
That's what they say is supposed to be the most curable.
Exactly. I was because there's different stages. Obviously, there's stage 1, 1A, 2, 2B, and so on. And the highest one is 4. I was stage 3B, which is pretty much 1 away from 4.
Right.
So they had to give me the highest one. But the younger you are, the percentage rate, the younger you are, the better it works. But I think it was a 40% chance of cure when you do it. But the younger you are and the less health problems you have, obviously, it plays a role into that.
Right. How'd your mom handle this?
It was bad. But she would try to not show it around me. Obviously, she would try to stay strong for me and be positive. But it was rough for her. She remarried after my dad, 2 years after my dad passed away. So, and my stepdad Dale, he's a really good guy, and he was very supportive. He shaved his head for me when I went through it to try to make me feel more comfortable. So he was there he was like my mom's rock. He was solid, and my brother was always there. My brother and me and him have a funny relationship. He's always he never changed. Like, he would always play around me and make jokes, and he still did that.
Right.
He would make jokes about me being bald and stuff, but he knew that was his way of keeping everything normal and nothing changed.
Right.
And that helped me a lot, actually.
That's good. I had a friend at work that used to have, he had MS, and he would always fall down, and he was just an ornery old guy. And if you tried to help him up, he'd be like, "God damn it, I don't want help."
Yeah.
And he'd yell at everyone. So, he'd fall down, and I'd be like, "Hey, Adam, what are you doing down there? Hey, man, you doing the keto rolls?" And he appreciated that because he didn't want to be babied or,
It's very important to try to keep, everything normal, I think. It really is.
So when your head was shaved, is that when you first started relating to Dwayne Johnson?
Actually, no. He's been my idol since I was 5 years old.
Okay.
It goes way back. Yeah, I've always idolized him, and once I used to be into wrestling big time. I would watch him, and then once he left, I kind of fell out of it. And obviously, I've seen every movie he's ever played in, and I would just during my stays in the hospital, like my first day, I stayed. I think it was 10 days, and WrestleMania was right around the corner, and that was one of the ones he made his return at. So I was counting down my days in the hospital to make sure I'd be home in time to watch it because it was a pay-per-view, and I got out the same exact day that the WrestleMania fell on, so I was able to go home and watch it. So that helped out a little bit.
That's cool. Did you tell him that?
No, I didn't get a chance. I only got to talk to him about 5 minutes. I could have sat there for probably 24 hours and told him a lot of things I wanted to, but didn't have enough time.
You never know, man. You still might have the chance.
Hopefully, yeah.
I mean, you just went viral, and I'm sure someone, we're interviewing you because we know you. You're friends of us.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm sure that someone out there is going to pick up on your story. Especially, I mean, there's the Hodgkins, they have like a fan page and stuff like that. I saw you there. In fact, hold on. This is where I've seen you, and I know you're out more places, but I saw you on E! Online, Huffington Post, ABCNewsGo.com, Muscle and Fitness, People Magazine, ET Online, I guess that's Entertainment Online, Latin Post, Inquisitor. I've seen you on some Slovakian radio show. Get Her Done, gossip for rednecks, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society fan page. That's what I was talking about. And there they say they want stories. They want you to submit your story. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know, but I'll definitely be interested in it.
But so I mean, that's stuff that you should be proud. I mean, you can be you're probably a spokesman for a lot of the kids or people in general that are going through and facing that. And it's good. It gives them hope when they hear that. You can get out of it, and
you definitely can. I mean, I before I got to meet The Rock and everything, I would always have be iffy about going back in hospitals and stuff just because I spent so much time there. But the more I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks and everything, I wish when I was doing my long stays that I could have had somebody come in and talk to me about this stuff. So I'll definitely be interested in going back and trying to help some of the kids or even the younger adults try to get through it. Because I know how rough it is. Just sitting in there, you can't leave the hospital floor. You can't go outside. It's really bad.
How about financially? I mean, did your insurance cover it, or are you guys like drowning in debt? Or
no, luckily my insurance covered pretty much everything.
That's
so
good.
I was lucky for that. Just once in a while, I'd have to pay for some of the medications afterwards, like some weird stuff. Like they had me on certain steroids actually when I got out of the hospital just to keep my appetite up. So I would try to put some weight on and stuff. Because I lost a lot of weight doing it. I mean, I was before I got sick. Actually, I was about 200 pounds. I was overweight, out of shape. And then once I got sick, I lost some weight. And then once I got cured and everything, that's when I started the gym. Became so much to me.
Yeah, I've seen your transformation. You're definitely building up. And when we were working out a little bit with David,
I remember.
It's I can definitely see you're coming a long way. And if you look at The Rock when he was about your age, he wasn't that far off. I mean, he wasn't real big until he kind of got into football and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. No, he's that's why some of the times when I was in the hospital, seeing his videos and just some of the things he'd put up, it would really help me. Because I always said that I was gonna, meet him one day and tell him face to face that, and luckily I was able to do that, and it really, honestly, meant the world to me.
That's cool. I met him one time. I had to set up a live broadcast for him. He was interviewing, I think, up in. Our studios were in Miramar, and he came into Clear Channel, and I set up his ISDN, which is a connection to I think they were doing a morning show interview up into West Palm. And when I saw him, I thought he was going to be bigger when I first saw him, but I don't know. I think he fluctuates. I think he goes through times where he's a little leaner for certain movies, and other ones he just looks like the Hulk.
Yeah, he changes his physique pretty often. It seems like.
But he seemed like a very nice guy. I didn't get to talk with him very much. I basically showed him to a studio and, said, here you go, you're talking to this, you need me, call me, and stuff like that. I'll be out there in the hall.
Yeah.
He's still a big guy, though.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely tall, and
It's huge.
That's what amazes me when you see movie stars, in real life. They're always so much shorter than they always seem to be so much shorter than I ever imagined them to be. I mean, I think Tom Cruise is 5 foot tall.
Same thing with Sylvester Stallone. Sylvester Stallone actually, he won't allow anyone to be above 5'10" in his movies. If you're
really?
Playing a prison guard or something like that,
make him
make him look bigger.
Yeah,
because he's 5'7", 5'8". He's like my height.
Yeah.
But he's so built.
Exactly.
But be an action star.
Yeah.
I guess he's wants to be a little bit more like Arnold.
Yeah.
Or The Rock, who was taking over Arnold's
if he
spot.
brings in somebody a little bit bigger, it'll make him look smaller.
Right.
So yeah, he's smart.
But Nick, you said meeting him just meant the world to you, and from what I saw on, and I want to call him Dwayne Johnson because I read that he doesn't like to be called the Rock.
Yeah.
And I'm certainly not going to offend someone who could kick my ass.
Exactly.
But it obviously meant a lot to him too, to meet you, and you made a difference, just like he made a difference in your life. Hearing that, I think really affected him. In fact, it said it drove him to tears. It made him feel so blessed, and he says, let's always take a moment to count our blessings. And I think you made him feel very thankful for everything. So, you inspired him just probably in just as much as he inspired you.
Yeah. When I was reading the post he put up, actually I was leaving church, and I was in my car, and I saw that I was tagged. I shouldn't have been on my phone, but it lit up and said I was tagged in a post. And when I seen it was a rock, I actually swerved. So it got me really nervous. But when I was able to stop, and once I got to Anna's house, I read the post, and it definitely surprised me. But if I was able to make an impact on him, it's a good feeling though. Yeah.
And I think doing these interviews too also gives you an opportunity so he can hear this. I mean, he could listen to this podcast and hear it as well. So I think it's another opportunity to get those things that you wanted to say to him, which is great. So how did that actually all, how did this happen?
Well, me and Anna, we had an idea of one of the gyms he worked out at. Oh, and Anna's cousin was with us. Anna's cousin was with us too, Robin. But me and Anna had an idea of what gym he worked out at, and we never really wanted to bother him because we know he's probably extremely busy. But we were in the area, and we drove by, and there was nobody there. So we kept going, and we were on our way home, and we were maybe 2 miles away from the gym, I want to say, and we seen like a big black pickup truck driving down the road. We were on a main road, and I was joking around with Anna and her cousin Robin. I was like, maybe that's the Rock right there. And he drove by, and when he got past us, it was a University of Miami license plate. And I'm like, that I think actually is him. So we waited for him to go, get far. We didn't want him to feel like we were following him or anything. So he got, I don't know how far. Maybe we waited like 4 or 5 minutes.
We were stalking him.
No, we weren't. And we turned around, and we drove back by the gym, and we seen that he was parked there. But we didn't go into the gym. We didn't pull into the parking lot. We drove down the street a little bit, and there was like a big lake there. There was like a bench and a lake, and there were some people fishing. So we sat there, and we waited maybe about an hour and 20 minutes. And we seen him come out of we were maybe like 150, 200 yards away from the gym. And we seen him come out of the gym, and we just yelled, hey, hey, waving and jumping up and down. And he just waved, got in his truck. And I was wearing one of his shirts, and his wrestling shirts. And as he was driving by, he rolled down his window, not all the way down, but just cracked enough to where you can hear him. And he just yelled, yo, nice shirt. And just that right there would have been a highlight of my life, just that. But Anna and her cousin, I was too starstruck to say anything, but they yelled out, can we take a picture with you? And, he rolled his window up and just kept driving. All of a sudden, he just hit his brakes, and he started to back up, and then he just stopped. So we started running up to him. And he opened the door and got out. And when he got out of the truck, he had his camera phone out, and he was taking a video of all of us running up to him. And I just hugged him. And then once the video ended, I sat there maybe for about 5-6 minutes and talked to him. And he just answered some questions that I wanted to ask him. And he wanted to hear my story. I told him some of the things I went through, and he said, "Well, let me hear it. I want to know." He says, "This is one of my best parts of this is hearing stories. I love it." So I was able to tell him my story, and it took about 5-6 minutes of his time, and then he went on his way.
That's awesome, man. How does it make you feel that he reposted again? Because this happened a couple months ago, and then he reposted again on Easter.
Yeah, it shocked me. I mean, about exactly a week after it happened, he put the video up on his Instagram of, me and Anna and Robin running up to him and hugging him and everything. And then a couple days later, he changed the text, the message from on the video. He changed it saying, my story. And I said, that right there was it left me speechless. And a month went by, and then about 2 months, and then he put it back on Easter, and it meant a lot, for him to just because I know he probably has no time to himself throughout the day. I mean, he's scheduled, And just for him to be able to take 4 to 5 minutes out to put that picture up and just remember me, actually, it just meant everything to me. He's honestly my idol. He probably always will be.
That's freaking awesome, man.
It is.
You know, we have there's an app called Chirp, right? And Chirp is it's kind of like Twitter with but it sends audio signals. So what it does is if you have the app running and I send a chirp, I can transmit you a picture, a link, no matter what, but only if you can hear it. So it doesn't go, you have to be in the same room.
Yeah.
But we're going to try something. We're going to try it here on the podcast. So if anyone that's out in the audience wants to download the Chirp app, it's free. Okay. It's for Android and for iPhone. And we're going to chirp out your picture and the little story with Dwayne and see, that way people that are listening to us can be forwarded and see exactly what happened and what's going on.
Okay.
So I'll do that. I'll launch the Chirp app.
and I think this is the first time that anyone has ever done this on a podcast.
Yeah. As far as I know. All right. So
as far as we know.
Whoa, that was weird. Okay, here we go. If you can download the Chirp app, you can come back, rewind this podcast or on YouTube or wherever, and it's like magic. You'll get the link to the picture. This will send you to see the story about Dwayne Johnson and Nick. Sounds like R2D2, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I'll do it one more time in case the people didn't pick it up. It's pretty cool.
Sounds like a happy little sparrow sitting there.
I'm going to show Nick that has never seen this work. I'm going to do one that I had loaded in here of me and Nick. As people say that I look like Walter White. Right now I don't have the goatee. And Nick uncannily has always been told that he looks like Jesse. Yeah. So we'll sometimes, when we meet up, we'll take pictures. So this is a picture that I took with Nick maybe last year of us, and we're going to chirp that out. So see, watch Nick. See, I got this running. Mm-hmm. I'm going to press the button, and boom, there it is. Went right to my phone. Walter White and Jesse.
I remember that picture.
So that's the audience has it now too. I hope you don't mind.
No, that's fine.
All right. Well, that's cool. That's a good test.
It might be a new career for you, Nick.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, we were going to do birthday parties,
Pull up in an RV.
Yeah, give out little blue hard rock candy or something. Yeah. I don't think the parents would appreciate that very well. Especially since Toys R Us just took the toys out of Toys R Us because they had a Walter White and he came with blue meth.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Of course, some mom complained, and it was like, you're selling drug dealers inside Toys R Us. Probably made that toy very valuable now.
Probably.
So, Nick, I was doing a little research on little known facts about Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you a few questions and test how big of a fan that you are.
Okay. We'll give it a shot.
You'll probably be like, this is nothing. Give me something hard.
Maybe. You never know.
Where did The Rock grow up?
Miami.
Nope. He grew up in 4 different places. And if it said it on the internet, it must be true.
Okay.
California, New Zealand, Hawaii, and Pennsylvania.
Wow. I knew Hawaii. I knew he spent a lot of time there. I wasn't sure. I didn't know the other 3.
I heard Miami too. I mean, I think he was here prior to him playing.
Yeah, before he played for the University of Miami, yeah.
So, and I was, and it said, where did The Rock grow up? So maybe that was in his younger years. And I mean, I look at my college years as when I really grew up because of, so, okay. So we'll see about this. What nationality is The Rock?
A Samoan, right?
That's his background.
That's his heritage.
That's his heritage.
This is kind of a trick question. I know what you're getting at.
Yeah, I'm trying to. It is a trick question. He has dual citizenship. he's American, but also back in 2009, Canada changed the law that said that any Canadian-born people that were born after 1947, which were his parents, were born in Canada, makes him an automatic Canadian citizen.
Wow, and that's another thing I learned. Never knew that one.
So this is good. I feel like I'm,
Yeah, I'm learning something.
True or false? Dwayne Johnson contributed a term to Webster Dictionary.
I would say true.
Yes.
Smackdown, right?
Yep.
Yeah, there we go. I knew that
Ding,
one.
ding, 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 ding. So we need the sound effects there, Tom. Okay, that was good. I didn't know that before. And this is also a difficult question.
We'll give it a shot.
How much money did The Rock have in his pocket, or into his name in 1995?
$7.
Ah, good.
That's a fan.
Oh yeah,
It is a fan. Now, do you know what he was quoted as saying at that time?
Yeah, I do. Give me a second. I remember him saying that he was. It was something on the lines of him saying that he was broke and that he would never be broke. He would make sure that he would never be broke again.
That's man, ding ding ding.
Yeah,
you went bonus points. It said basically just what you said. I'm broke, and one day I won't be.
Exactly, and I think he made that happen.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah.
Okay, one more. Who's Flex Cavana?
I'm not sure.
That was his original name, stage name for his first wrestling match.
I knew Rocky Maivia, but I didn't know that one. Wow.
It says the name Flex Cavana was Johnson's own idea. That's probably one that luckily they changed it to Rock.
I think so. I like the name of The Rock better.
But he comes from a whole wrestling family. I mean, his dad was a wrestler, his grandfather, and you look at the pictures, and they're big guys, man.
Absolutely.
But they're Samoans. Samoans are always, I was telling John that there was a Samoan martial art, and it was all based on breaking bones. That was the whole.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They were badasses. So.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's all the questions I had.
I think he passed.
You knocked him out of the park.
Yeah, he definitely passed.
So you've talked about how he inspired you, and how you'd also like to inspire people with. I think you have a great story. I mean, I can't even imagine what it would be like to lose my dad so early in my life, and then be hit with cancer and be a cancer survivor. I mean, that doesn't happen very often. And obviously you've gotten a lot stronger from it. Where do you, and now you met The Rock.
Yeah.
Life is good. Do you have any plans? I mean, what are you going to do?
It's undecided. I'm going to be starting, BC, this Broward College, that's the local community college, this fall, same time as Anna. So, I'll see what it leads to. But at first, I always wanted, I was into journalism, stuff like that. I always loved stuff like that. But, different people have been talking to me, so I've been second guessing it. They say, nowadays that's not the best, but I don't know. It's always something I liked. I actually always wanted to be like a sports broadcaster. That's something I really love. I love talking sports. I'm a football fanatic, basketball. I know pretty much about every sport. Football and basketball are the main two I love, though.
Well, don't sell yourself short. If you really want to do that, do it, man. And there's so many avenues now. I've worked in radio for over 20 years, and it's definitely changing. Yeah. But there's other opportunities, and as long as you can provide good content and you're knowledgeable, you'll survive. Yeah. You'll find a way. You were talking about at one time with me, you were thinking about doing a podcast, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Carlos,
right.
If he was willing to do it, yeah, definitely. Something that involves sports. He has a love for sports like I do. We both share that. And, I just love talking sports. I could do it all day. that's always something I want to be, either a sports broadcaster or a sports analyst.
That's the perfect way. I mean, you build up your credibility and you start getting your practice.
Exactly.
And then, if you get a following and, you can do it.
It can
happen. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I definitely would pursue it. I'm a member of a podcast meetup down here. Maybe you'll come with me sometime. It's like, it's not like just like a bunch of creepy guys hanging out in a room. These are all professional guys and top notch. The guy that runs it's Jared Easley, and he's the guy, the creator of the podcast movement, which is like the biggest group of podcasters around the country. I mean, or the world. It's the biggest one meetup or not meetup. It's a convention, and they have training for several days, and anyone in podcasting goes there.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to set something up. I would love to go. Absolutely.
Cool. Excellent.
Nick, when I was about your age, I wanted to be an architect. I actually I took drafting and architecture classes in high school. I really enjoyed it a lot. And I planned on going into college and becoming an architect. And my dad told me, Johnny, you don't want to do that. There are a lot of starving architects. Yeah. And my stomach kind of rumbled. And I was like, I couldn't imagine, not making enough money to like feed myself.
Yeah.
And it steered me in another direction. And I have to say, I kind of always regretted doing that because I enjoyed it so much. So, I'm with Tom, follow your heart and your passion. So many people are going to say you can't do that, but you've already proven in so many ways that you can beat the odds. If you work hard at it and you drive, you get whatever you want out of that. And so, everyone wants to tell you around, when I say everyone, just society in general just says, you need to fit in and don't take risks and just, do what everyone else is doing. But I think people who are really successful in life, they follow their hearts. And
yeah, I agree with you on that.
Absolutely. Me and John have been putting together something based kind of around that. It's really to help people that have experience or that want to, get into podcasting, and not only podcasting, but build a blog, build a presence for themselves on the web. We've just finished a membership site. We have over a dozen software tools that helps you. It's everything from graphics to getting stuff out on Twitter to curating content. Yeah. And, we're going to open it up soon. It's already, ready to launch almost, but we're going to give you free access to it.
Well, thank you.
It's called Rogue Professional, but it's the address is club.rogueprofessional, and it's a membership site with tons of videos. It's like to take you from cradle to the grave. If you don't know anything about internet marketing or whatever, you can learn it in there. And then we have a private Facebook group, and we're going to get other people that are professionals and experts in their fields to start contributing. And it's going to be a place where you can go and ask questions and say, hey, I'm having a problem with this. What do I do? Or you can advise other people.
Yeah, I'd be excited to check that out.
Cool.
For sure.
So we'll hook you up. You'll be our first member because, we just literally built it. We've been working on it for a long time,
Sounds good.
But it's almost ready to go, and you'll be the first. You'll be, pilot members, and, you'll be our founder.
Well, I'll be ready for it.
Cool, man.
And you talked about journalism and how you like to do that. I never had a blog before Tom told me I should start running a blog.
Yeah.
And the reason I started was my dad had ALS. So he was sick for 2 years, and then he died. And after he died, I came back up here. I live in Virginia. Okay. and I came down, I came back and I just sat down in front of my computer and I just started typing. I just started writing. Yeah. Getting all these thoughts out of my head onto paper. And before too long, I was thinking, man, I'm going to write a book so that way I can tell people, share with people what all the great things that my dad taught me. And it just, it really helped me get those thoughts out of my head and stop them bouncing around. It made me very focused. And, it was all Tom really coming to me and saying, we need to do a podcast, we need to do a blog. And, I have a lot to thank thank him for that, because he's great. He understands the technology of it, but I never thought about doing that stuff before. And I admit, I'm still learning, but you have to start somewhere.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the Rogue Professional is built for people, just like you and me, and people who have an idea and they want to learn and start something.
Well, you can really thank my wife, Jennifer, because we were supposed to do a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu podcast like a couple of years ago. And I kept on saying, hey, because I got all the gear,
Yeah.
I was like, we have a blog. We've had a blog for 5 years, and, we get some traffic and it's pretty steady, but it's not like what I wanted it to be. And podcasts are very well known, especially a couple of years ago, of driving traffic to a website. But Jen kept on being like, I don't know if I want to do it. And so finally, I said, John, me and you should do a podcast. And we did it. And now that Jen sees that this is going okay, now we're going to start our podcast.
Yeah, she's into it now.
Yeah, my whole family, we're going to do it. And it's going to be about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, it's something that, obviously you guys have a passion for.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Definitely.
All right, man. So, Nick, is there a way, like if someone wants to get a hold of you or if someone wants to interview you, what's the best way? I mean, is there an email or something that you want to give out?
Yeah, my email. That's fine. That's just what I said. Yeah. It's Mr. Miller 2728 at gmail.com.
Cool. So that way, if anyone wants to interview you or look you up or, put you on the Good Morning America show or
definitely
whatever that is,
Can put that in the show notes too, right?
Yeah,
Tom?
absolutely. All right, man. This is Tom Stewart, and I thank you for listening, and thank you for coming in, guys. Anna and Nick.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yes.
Thank you for listening to A Swift Kick in the Ass podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's content, and we ask you to please leave us a review in iTunes. Also, head over to aswiftkickintheass.com to get a free copy of the Simple Spending Tool.
You know what's wild? Most people are still overpaying for car insurance just because it's a pain to switch. That's why there's Jerry. Jerry's the only app that compares rates from over 50 insurers in minutes and helps you switch fast with no spam calls or hidden fees. Drivers who save with Jerry could save over $1,300 a year. Before you renew your car insurance policy, do yourself a favor. Download the Jerry app or head to jerry.ai/Libsyn. That's JERRY.ai/LIBSYN.